Here are the most significant NFL injuries in Week 16. Landon Collins, S. New York Giants. Collins was shaken up making a tackle in the second quarter of the game against the Cardinals. Midway through the third quarter, he was declared out for the duration of the game thanks to a forearm injury. Tyron Smith, OT, Dallas Cowboys. After being in question to play on Sunday due to a sprained lateral collateral ligament, Smith made it one series before being taken out of action in favor of Byron Bell. Smith was officially declared questionable to return on account of the knee injury. Reuben Foster, Pound, San Francisco 49ers. Foster was shaken up on a Jaguars touchdown play, and was examined in the medical tent on the sideline for a few minutes before heading to the locker room. Foster has been dealing with a series of injuries throughout the season. As the second half began, Foster was in the game for the 49ers. Cam Robinson, OT, Jacksonville Jaguars. Robinson, who has been dealing with a series of injuries this season, was dinged up again on Sunday against the 49ers. This time, it was an abdominal strain, and he was deemed questionable to return. As the second half began, the Jaguars declared Robinson out for the duration of the game. Todd Gurley's historic Weeks 15 to 16 probably carried many fantasy football teams toward championship glory. Jared Goff, Dion Lewis and Giovanni Bernard also had big games. Evan Engram, Tay, New York Giants. One of the brightest spots for the Giants this season, Engram was taken out during the first quarter against the Cardinals. He was declared questionable to return due to an abdominal strain, but then downgraded to out due to a rib injury. Roger Saffold, OG, Los Angeles Rams. Saffold exited the game with a rib injury and was declared questionable to return, but did not. After the game, Rams coach Sean McVay said, "I think he's okay." Saffold was in good spirits and seemed fine. DeMarco Murray, Air Bay, Tennessee Titans. Murray suffered a right leg injury during the final drive of the game against the Rams and had to be helped off the field. While no official update was given, it appeared that he was not putting any weight on the injured leg on his way to the sideline. After the game, Titans coach Mike Mularkey indicated that Murray would have an MRI on Monday to determine the extent of the injury, but that it didn't look good. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that the initial diagnosis was an LCL sprain. Sharice Wright, CB, Buffalo Bills. Wright was shaken up midway through the fourth quarter after tackling Patriots running back Dion Lewis. He was examined on the field before walking off under his own power. Micah Hyde, S, Buffalo Bills. During the process of tackling Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski in the third quarter, Hyde was shaken up and remained down on the field. He was able to walk off under his own power, but he was replaced by Trey Elston for the remainder of the drive, on which the Patriots scored a touchdown. Hyde returned to the game on the next defensive drive. Myles Garrett, the Cleveland Browns. Garrett was helped off the field during the third quarter and was brought to the sideline medical tent to be examined. The cause? He was the victim of an eye poke, but he was declared eligible to return to the game. Nevin Lawson, CB, Detroit Lions. Lawson was injured during the third quarter against the Bengals, and after being examined on the field, he headed directly to the locker room. He was declared questionable to return due to a possible concussion, but later downgraded to out. Sean Williams, S, Cincinnati Bengals. Williams' head collided with teammate Hardy Nickerson during the third quarter, and he was removed from the game, and subsequently went to the locker room to be evaluated. He was declared doubtful to return, due to a possible concussion. Damiere Byrd, WR, Carolina Panthers. Byrd remained down on the field after the opening return of the second half, then subsequently limped to the sideline with an apparent left leg injury. He was later carted to the locker room, and declared questionable to return with a knee injury. Later in the half, he was downgraded to doubtful to return. Joe Mixon, Air Bay, Cincinnati Bengals. Mixon suffered an ankle injury during the first quarter of Sunday's game against the Lions and was brought back to the locker room for further examination. He was deemed questionable to return, but did not. Mixon returned to action on Sunday after missing the past 2 games with a concussion. Leonard Williams, DL, New York Jets. At the start of the second half against the Chargers, the Jets declared Williams questionable to return, due to a back injury. Shortly thereafter, he was downgraded to out, making it 2 weeks in a row he did not finish the game. Brandon Shell, New York Jets. Shell, who made the tackle of Keenan Allen after the Chargers wideout intercepted Bryce Petty at the end of the first half, was declared out of the game to start the second half, due to a concussion. He was replaced by Brent Qualley. Jordan Evans, pound, Cincinnati Bengals. While attempting to tackle Lions wideout Kenny Golladay during the first half, Evans' head collided with fellow Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict. After being evaluated, Evans was declared out for the duration of the game with a concussion. Vontaze Burfict, pound Cincinnati Bengals. One play after his collision with Evans, Burfict delivered a hit to Matthew Stafford as the Lions QB was attempting a pass, resulting in an interception for Bengals linebacker Vincent Ray. However, Burfict appeared to injure his shoulder on the play. After being examined, Burfict was declared doubtful to return, but later downgraded to note. Travaris Cadet, Air Bay, Buffalo Bills. Cadet sustained a right leg injury while being tackled by Trey Flowers late in the second quarter, and remained down on the field, grabbing at the leg as Bills medical personnel attended to him. An air cast was applied, and Cadet was carted off the field. Unsurprisingly, the Bills declared Cadet out for the remainder of the game. After the game, ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that Cadet suffered a dislocated ankle. Ziggy Hood, DT, Washington Redskins. Hood remained down on the field after sustaining a right arm injury during the first half against the Broncos. He was brought to the locker room for further tests, and declared doubtful to return with an elbow injury. He was later downgraded to note. Corey Davis, WR, Tennessee Titans. After making a first down reception during the first quarter against the Rams, Davis retreated to the sideline to have his left arm/shoulder looked at by Titans medical personnel. He subsequently went to the locker room for further evaluation, but returned to the game during the second quarter. Vincent Taylor, DT, Miami Dolphins. Taylor left the field early in the first quarter, and was deemed questionable to return because of a knee injury. The 2017 sixth rounder had 18 combined tackles during his rookie campaign. Saturday. Nick Easton, OG, Minnesota Vikings. Easton will need to undergo season-ending surgery after fracturing his right ankle in the first quarter of Saturday's 16-0 win over the Packers, according to coach Mike Zimmer. Reserve guard Jeremiah Sells filled in for Easton once he exited the game. Kevin McDermott, LS, Minnesota Vikings. McDermott will undergo an MRI after a shoulder injury he sustained with 27 seconds remaining in the second quarter caused him to miss the remainder of the game. McDermott's long snapping duties were handed off in the second half to tight end David Morgan, who executed successful snaps on 20 and 27-yard field goals by Kifo Bar. On Sunday, Vikings coach Mike Zimmer confirmed that the team would audition long snappers on Tuesday, though he didn't elaborate on McDermott's injury. Jordy Nelson, WR, Green Bay Packers. Nelson sustained a shoulder injury in the first half against the Vikings, and did not return. Nelson was injured after a 5-yard reception late in the second quarter. He appeared to land on his shoulder, stayed in for one more play and then came out. Aaron Jones, Air Bay, Green Bay Packers. Jones,